There is a close connection between soil and conscience, and for the last 30 years, Sadhguru and the Isha Foundation have raised awareness about the importance of providing good nutrients to our soil, and as a consequence, to the human being. But the situation is not getting better. Combining his great passion for traveling freely on a motorbike with his concern for the soul, Sadhguru has embarked on a journey across 24 countries to make the public and the authorities aware of the increasing risks. And people are listening to him. In this chat that took place during the World Government Summit 2022, Sadhguru reminds us of why soil is important for the universe and for our conscience.
Soil is being treated as an inert substance, not as a living system. Soil is the greatest and the most sophisticated and complex living system, not just on this planet, in the known universe. Nowhere in this universe that we know of is there anywhere such a living system so complex and sophisticated. Today, who we are, even in terms of evolution and in terms of our present existence, we are just a consequence of what is happening beneath our feet in the first 15 to 18 inches of the soil. What microbial activity that is happening is the basis of our existence. So, first and foremost thing is to change the narrative that you are not handling an inert material by adding a few chemicals. You cannot fix it. Keeping it alive and passing it on as a living substance to future generations is a fundamental responsibility for all of us. This ignorance that people are thinking soil is inert material. In many nations, they refer to soil. In India, we refer to soil as mother soil and people bow down to the soil. But in many nations, people refer to the soil as dirt. If this is dirt, all of us are dirt bags, isn't it? We have found so many ways to see what are our differences. Well, you are a woman, I am a man, so there is a gender difference. Well, your race is different, your religion is different, your language is different. Like this, we are going on seeing what differences are there with each other, and which has led to so much conflict, but we don't seem to grow up. We don't seem to understand the number of wars we have fought in the last 100 years. 20th century was enough. There were 2 world wars. What is this for? What are we trying to achieve? Petty things. But if you look for common areas, people may not understand what is universal consciousness or cosmic consciousness. But at least this much we must understand, we all are made of soil. This very body is soil. We every day nourish ourselves from the soil. And when we die, we go back to the soil. So soil is a common factor for all of us. This common denominator can be used for all of us to come together irrespective of our race, religion, nationality, caste, creed, gender. We can come together because here there is one common factor. All of us are from it. Nobody can deny it. So this can be a great way of raising human consciousness too, and that's what we're looking at. That's why it's called Conscious Planet. Right now, the food that we are consuming doesn't belong to us. We are eating up the food that belongs to the unborn child. In my emotion, it feels like this to me, that if you or me eat up the food of an unborn child, it's a kind of crime against humanity for me. That's how I feel. These 2 years of pandemic has been very good for all the other creatures except the human beings. The important thing we need to understand is it only challenged our lifestyle, not our life. So when we talk about lifestyle, we shouldn't be so attached to our lifestyles. It is this attachment to lifestyles that is causing the damage it's causing. Very easily, we should be able to shift our lifestyle according to the requirements of the day. So we need to learn something, that this planet is not just for us. Every life has a right to live here. We also have a right to live here. We have a right to live well. But what is living well? This definition is something that all of us have to look at. A human being lives well because one is joyful and peaceful, and above all, we have good, nutritious food to eat, clean water to consume, and pure air to breathe. This is most important. If we compromise that, all the wealth that we create, all the comforts and convenience that we create will end up in disease and death as we are seeing. Today, WHO is predicting a mental health pandemic. This is not a joke. The number of people having mental ailments or psychological disturbances is becoming too many. Now they're talking about suicide pandemic. The number of people committing suicide on the planet also is increasing. So we need to address this. In this aspect of both mental health and suicides, it is important to understand soil nutrient quality and the food nutrition that we have when the micronutrients are absent. Physiological and psychological ailments are very normal. Every doctor knows this. So it's very important this gets enshrined in the policy of every nation that a minimum of 3 to 6% organic content should be there in our soils. I'm not talking about this for desert soils, they are very different. But normally for agricultural soils, 3 to 6% should be there. Only then the microbial life can be active and the soil is alive. If we raise the organic content to 8 to 10%, our water consumption in terms of irrigation would come down to 30% of what it is right now. If you're using 100 liters, it would come down to 30 liters. If we raise the organic content to 12 to 15%, we can reduce the irrigation requirement to 10 to 15%. Instead of 100 liters, if you're using 15 liters, definitely water as a stress that is there on the planet right now, over 2 billion people are water stressed. By 2032, they are saying 3.5 billion people will be water stressed. Living in a world where 3.5 billion people are finding difficulty in finding their daily drinking water is not a pleasant experience for anybody, and this will lead to a lot of strife. So one important thing is nearly 67 to 68% of world's fresh water that we use is going towards agriculture. That can be easily reduced if you enhance the organic content in the soil. In India, 84% of our water resources are being used for agriculture. Reducing this is a very important way forward for ensuring that future populations don't have water stress. Right now, in Northern Europe, an average in countries like Germany, Czech Republic and Austria, the average the organic content in the soil is 1.48%. This is very poor for temperate climate because they're using the land only 4 to 5 months in a year. They should have much more organic content, but unfortunately it's not there. In the Southern Europe, it's even worse. It is just a little over 1%, 1.1, 1.2% is the average. In the United States, 30% of the topsoil of the agricultural lands is actually gone. It doesn't even exist, it's simply gone. In India, 62% of our land has become in such a way that organic content is below 0.5%. In Africa, it is 0.3%. And the migrations are happening to a point where now people are talking about by 2032, 1.2 billion people will be migrating. When people migrate, they go through untold suffering. Only when they die, it gets reported, but their sufferings are not cannot be narrated to anybody, especially women and children. Unplanned migration and the suffering that it will bring to women and children who migrate is cannot be described. Terrible, terrible things happen. So it is very important people stay back in their homelands. Unless they plan their migration for some purpose, that is okay. This is forced migration because they cannot grow their own food in their land. And the number of suicides in the farming community across the world is also very heavy. All this is related to lack of soil strength, or the cost of input is increasing year by year because there is not enough organic strength in the soils that they're working upon. But nearly 36 to 40% of global warming and climate change in turn is happening because of exposed soils. 71% of Earth's land is right now being farmed. These exposed plowed lands left open emit huge amount of carbon dioxide and also methane, which is 80 times more warming to the atmosphere than what carbon dioxide is. So, if you cover this land with at least cover crops when it is not in use, it would make a huge difference. To put this in perspective, I would say, somewhere nearly 1 billion years ago, a process or a phenomena called photosynthesis started. Before photosynthesis happened, the oxygen content in the atmosphere was only a shade over 1%. But today, oxygen content in the atmosphere is 21%. Without this oxygen content, you and me cannot be alive. Most complex life forms on the planet cannot be alive. So this photosynthesis, if you look at it, 1,000 years ago, how much photosynthesis was happening on this planet? And today, how much photosynthesis is happening? If you look at this, there has been an 85% drop, 85%. So slowly the oxygen depletion is happening in the atmosphere, for which we will pay a huge price. It's extremely important. Maximum amount of land has a green leaf. It can be in the form of crops, grasses, bushes, herbs, trees, whichever way. But land should be covered. Land should be covered. You should have crops on it, you have grasses on it, you have bushes on it, something. Green leaf is the magic on this planet, because photosynthesis as a phenomena which uses the perpetual energy of the sun to absorb carbon from the atmosphere and release oxygen into the atmosphere, and also pump carbon sugars into the soil for the microbial life to thrive, and in turn provide nutrients to the plant life, is the most important and complex phenomena that's happening. This is the greatest partnership that is happening in the universe, because it is so complex and so sophisticated how these partnerships are run. According to FAO scientists, we may know 1% of what is happening there. As it happens in the soil for the plants, it happens in our gut, that without the microbial help, we cannot digest. So this is what you need to do right now. This journey that I'm at this stage, I'm riding 30,000 kilometers. We want everybody to talk about soil. You don't have to support me. All you have to do is, you have to talk about soil. Make the world talk about soil. This is a legacy. Soil is not our property. Soil is something that we have received from the past, and we have to pass it on that way. You're in a region where there is so much desertification that's happened thousands of years ago, but it is possible to turn this around. It is not that overnight it will happen. It is just that if we set it or enshrine it in our policies, slowly over a period of time, depending upon the terrain and latitudinal positions we are, accordingly it may take a certain amount of time, but it is possible to turn this around. Everybody knows, every scientific community in the country or in the world knows that this is possible. We are giving out these soil policy documents to every government, to the agriculture ministries, to the head of state, and we are also delivering this through the UN agencies, UNCCD and others. So 4 UN agencies are in partnership with us, so we will deliver it through them also. Above all, we are also writing to 730 political parties in the world, because in democratic nations, it's important that soil and ecology becomes an important part of political manifestos. We have reams and reams of research. Even academics and universities don't read it because there is so much substance on these subjects, but it's too big for anybody to read and understand. So it is definitely, this is the way forward. An emotional appeal for people to save soil is definitely the way forward. So most of the top scientists in the world are endorsing this, and they are with us. So this is a way forward.